There's no doubt that surfing is a dangerous sport. However, for some people, bodyboarding or surfing can take away the need for self-destruction and help people deal with their mental health. It can be a risky sport, but it's also inspiring and uplifting. Like anything else in life, surfing big waves can be frightening. It's about facing the fear of the unknown, but in order to overcome it, you have to face it. Everyone has their challenges. The greater the challenge, the more likely it's going to help you grow. Sadly, many people are afraid of their dreams because fear gets in the way, so they don't pursue them. Imagine what would happen if we let fear control our lives. We would miss out on important life experiences. It could cause frequent discomfort and could also lead to unhealthy habits. For me, just being around the ocean helps me to deal with everyday problems. One of the problems I face is my anxiety. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. Having a million things running through my head can cause me to get anxious. Some of these thoughts are negative and some are positive, but it's the negative ones that really get me down. A few months ago, I started to get this pain that would run down one or both of my legs. After visiting the doctor, I found that I'd cracked a disc in my back. This experience left me shaken and scared to get back out into the water. I figured that if I was ever going to make it as a surf filmmaker, I would have to overcome this fear. But how am I supposed to overcome this fear when it's the fear that's holding me back? After this revelation, I went back home and did some research on anxiety and decided to talk to a therapist in my local area to get some answers on how I could overcome this fear.
Mindfulness helps us slow down and settle the nervous system, but very much mindfulness brings us into the present moment, the now. So practicing being aware of how you feel, where the constriction and tension is in your body, and how your breath is operating are those early signs. And when we can listen to those, turn the volume up on those, we can respond and act to catch things before they run away into panic, for example. So when you're out surfing, you get out the back and you have a rest and you're looking at the sets coming in and you suddenly notice that your breath is getting more shallow and up your chest, you go, oh, I can feel the activation happening. Let me steady that, take some deep breaths, notice myself sitting on the board, notice the water against my legs, and help myself settle down before I even think about which wave I'm going to go for.
To help ease my anxiety, I need to control my breathing and be mindful of my surroundings. Understanding what is triggering my anxiety will help me to face my fear and get back out into the water. Fear is like a trigger. It's there to protect us from harmful situations. Having the knowledge of how to react and knowing how to read the ocean is essential when surfing big waves and could be the thing that saves you or someone else's life. I contacted one of the lifesavers at my local beach to ask about the risks involved in surfing and to find out what we should look out for before paddling out into the ocean.
Quite a few safety precautions to think about. The first thing I'd suggest anyone do is look at the associate surfing apps or weather apps to get an idea of the conditions. So you want to look at the swell size and direction, you want to look at the wind speed, so take all those factors in. It's also a good idea to check your conditions out first. So once you're at the beach, the local beach where you wish to surf, ideally you want to be on the bank where the waves are breaking. So have a notice of where the shoulders of there and the rips are. And if there are surfers in the water, generally just have a look at what they're doing and see how they're responding to conditions as well.
After talking with Shelley, it became clear that if I really want to overcome this fear, I would have to train and learn to understand the risks. It's important to know your environment and notice how that can impact your anxiety. Sometimes it's best to tackle your fear head on, and the best way for me to do that is to get back out into the water and gradually get used to the conditions again, using that fear to push myself forward. Not long after speaking with Shelley, I ran into a mate of mine. Joshua Cleve is a professional bodybuilder from Cape Town, South Africa. He has over 20 years experience in surfing and is one of the craziest guys I've seen out in the water. I got the opportunity to talk to him about the sport and find out how he manages to overcome his fear of surfing these massive waves.
The best way to prepare yourself physically for surfing is surfing. So lots to do with just kind of the kind of ratio between cardio, strength and breathing is best strengthened through time in the water. You're only really tested mentally when it's the scary conditions or the bigger days where you're on the cusp of your comfort zone, and as much as you can, it's really a mind over matter thing. If you can avoid panicking, that's the one thing that's the killer. It's panicking. It's the moment you lose it, where you can't think rationally and you can't control your breathing and you start taking on water, and it's all about being able to keep level-headed in those moments.
Being able to hold your breath underwater for long periods of time is essential when surfing big waves. In surfing, you can get pushed down really deep underwater. It feels like your head's being crushed and you're in a washing machine just going around and around for what feels like forever. You can't panic. The worst thing you can do is panic. It takes away all your energy, and once you do that, your lungs will start to fill up with water, causing your body to sink to the bottom. Tony Sinclair runs a business called Breath Revolution. He specialises in ocean apnea training and ice bath therapy. I spoke to him about how these methods can help reduce fear and ease anxiety in times of great stress.
Ice baths have been around for a long time and originally used for sports teams for many years as recovery because it helps with inflammation. Seems to be the new fad at the moment. Even if you don't know all the benefits you're getting out of it, you just feel good after it. So you're going to get a cold shock when you first get in, and we want to be able to control our breathing. So you'll find your body's going to want to go into that fight or flight. So you're going to feel like your heart rate's going to go up, your respiratory rate's going to start to go up, you're going to feel like you start to breathe fast. Your body will start to tighten up, the muscles will tense up. So that we can sort of control that by controlling our breathing. But the other thing is what we're really working on is putting people in that stress environment in a controlled environment. So we use like a swimming pool, spin them around, try and sort of recreate it. And what we're trying to do is create a blueprint. And if there's no blueprint there, a lot of the time your brain's scrambling for what do I do? And most of that time is panic. So if you can, when you're paddling out, go to nasal breathing at any stage. That's also going to just keep that good balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen levels, and that's going to keep you in that parasympathetic.
Not long after speaking with Tony, I was back out in the water doing what I love. By controlling my breathing and settling my nervous system, I was able to face my fear and ease my anxiety. I guess to get over your fear, you just have to do it. But before you can do that, it's important to understand your fear, be aware of what's causing it, and know the risk before you attempt to face it. Sometimes just thinking about it or leading up to it is scarier than actually just doing it. It's more of a subconscious issue. If I can channel my fear in the right direction, I can use that fear to propel myself to new heights. Pushing the limits and facing fears leads to progression, leads to growth, and leads to what's next. I hope this film inspires you to face your fears and look past the fear of the unknown in your own lives. Life is too short. Enjoy it and fear less.